poppin' Marvels? It's me, MT, and welcome back to the Heavy Spoiler Show. This is going to be an ending explained for the reality-smashing sisterhood of the traveling superheroes that is the Marvels. So sit back, grab your intergalactic cat, and let us bite into this action-packed snack of a Marvel film. Spoiler warning for everything in the Marvels, of course, so if you have not seen that movie, give this video a pause and then come back when you're done, son. Alright, so let's start this video off by talking about that super exciting mid-credits scene that features a Monica Rambeau waking up in the medical bay of the X-Men's underground headquarters, designed extremely similarly to the way it was in the original X-Men films from the early 2000s. Monica awakens to the sight of a woman that she thinks is her mother, but is actually a Maria Rambeau variant codenamed Binary, a name that should sound very familiar to Captain Marvel comic fans. In the comics, Binary was originally one of the names Carol Danvers gave herself after she gained the cosmic powers of a white hole in X-Men 164 following genetic experimentation by the alien race called the Brood. Really creepy guys. Which triggered Carol's latent mutant potential, giving her the ability to generate radiation and heat as hot as the brightest star and to produce light on any wave of the electromagnetic spectrum. When this happened to Carol in the comics, she was pretty much offered a spot on the X-Men immediately, but she refused to join the team due to not wanting to be tied down on Earth. Since Binary was introduced as a genetic mutation in the comics, it seems like this Maria Rambeau's Binary took the X-Men up on their offer in her universe and has now become the newest mutant on the MCU scene, just like Kamala was revealed to be in the season finale of Ms. Marvel. So there is definitely something about the human body coming into contact with cosmic radiation that triggers mutation, much like Professor Xavier says in the pages of X-Men number 12, and like Patrick Stewart Xavier tells the X-Men in the first X-Men movie in regards to Magneto's evolving machine.
The machine emits radiation that triggers mutation in an ordinary human being.
But anyways, Maria's costume has 2 stars on the chest region to represent a binary star system, which is basically what happens when a star orbits around or close to another star in space. However, though Maria Rambeau is binary in this universe, apparently there was a 50% chance that Binary could have been another variant of Carol Danvers, as we learn in the Marvels that Maria and Carol had a foot race to the plane that would inevitably crash and give the winner of that foot race the cosmic powers of Captain Marvel. So in every universe where Maria Rambeau has superpowers, it is implied that Maria was the one who beat Carol in that foot race to Mar-Vell's plane. Kelsey Grammer of course reprises his role as the mutant Beast after playing the iconic character in both X-Men The Last Stand as well as X-Men Days of Future Past. However, this version of Beast is a lot different in presentation than the one that we've seen from the Fox movies, as Marvel Studios has chosen to go with a slightly different, full CG model of Beast in this universe, making me feel like this universe is a completely new universe that is meant to be a variant of Earth 838 from Multiverse of Madness. Since Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel, had a close relationship with Professor Xavier on Earth 838 as a member of the Illuminati, it seems like this new Maria Rambeau binary variant is a member of Xavier's X-Men outright in this universe due to her mutation. However, there is a chance that this universe could be the same one that Logan wakes up in at the end of Days of Future Past, as music from the Days of Future Past score plays during the Marvel's mid-credits scene. And we do know that Professor Xavier is alive and well in this universe, thanks to Beast mentioning that Xavier was requesting an update from Binary about Monica's condition. So there's a big chance here that Monica Rambeau's arrival and the oncoming threat of Incursions could be part of Professor Xavier's information download that he promised to give Wolverine at the end of his time-traveling adventure in Days of Future Past. Deadpool 3 for sure seems like the MCU project that we will likely see Monica continue her X-Men adventures in next, as that movie is rumored to be extremely multiverse-centric with a bunch of returning Fox X-Men stars. However, there is also a chance that the next season of What If or the new X-Men 97 series could also continue Monica and Maria's mutant narrative as well. Part of me really hopes that Marvel is secretly planning an Avengers vs. X-Men scenario on the road to Secret Wars, because with the multiversal incursions on the horizon, it is quite possible that these two teams will have to fight for their respective realities to survive, much like Sinister Strange had to do with his nightmare reality using the Darkhold. My boy Paul has a really dope video about an Avengers vs. X-Men scenario that you guys should check out as soon as it's out because he's got some really fun ideas there. But speaking of incursions, now let us talk about arguably the most important event of this movie, which is of course our newest sighting of a multiversal incursion in the MCU 616 reality, as first teased by John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and is a direct consequence of Sylvie sending the multiverse into chaos by choosing to murder He Who Remains at the very end of the first season of Loki. We got our first appetizer for what a post He Who Remains multiverse would look like in Spider-Man No Way Home, when the entire 616 reality almost came crashing down due to He Who Remains' multiversal management going completely out the window, allowing for any and all multiversal possibilities across time and space to happen. You know, like Vulture being sent to Morbius Land, 616 Aaron Davis being arrested by the Spider Society, Shang-Chi being able to access the alternate universe of Ta Lo, Aisha and Najma being able to enter the 616 universe, and so on and so forth. And if you don't already know, multiversal incursions are kind of a big deal in both the MCU and the Marvel comics in general, because they spell the beginning of the end of the entire Marvel multiverse. What Mr. Fantastic warns Doctor Strange about in Multiverse of Madness begins to happen in this movie as Dar-Benn's power causes the multiversal boundaries of the MCU 616 reality to crumble, allowing for a neighboring universe to begin to chaotically collide with their own. When those tears first begin to form in the movie, I noticed that the gravitational disturbance that the portal causes was very reminiscent to the nearly destroyed variant of Earth that Doctor Strange and Christine Palmer got sent to by Wanda in Doctor Strange 2, as the natural gravitational laws of that universe were completely wrecked after suffering the consequences of their own multiversal incursion, courtesy of the three-eyed, dark, sinister Strange. I have a feeling that that same dark purple power that Dar-Benn's bangle emitted to cause the incursion in the Marvel's movie is the same type of dark purple cosmic power that Sinister Strange used to destabilize his own reality. The Marvels also features the brief return of the Kree's supreme intelligence to the MCU, but this time in its true form. A form that is extremely comics accurate, because instead of seeing the Supreme Intelligence manifested in the realm of Carol's mind as the person her brain admired the most, we got to see the Supreme Intelligence's true form, a big-ass green head with tentacles coming out of it, like the Marvel world first saw in the pages of Fantastic Four 65. Much like in the comics, the Supreme Intelligence is of course the combined collective consciousnesses of all the loyal and high-value Kree that have lived and died on the planet. And because of this, Yon-Rogg refers to the Supreme Intelligence as the Collective when he tells Carol and the Kree Star Force to possibly prepare to join the Collective should they all die during their mission to the vibranium-rich planet of Torfa in the first Captain Marvel movie. So the Supreme Intelligence should definitely be added to the list of MCU afterlives in my opinion, but that's just me. However, the most interesting thing to me about the MCU Supreme Intelligence is just how much they follow the same celestial science established in the Eternals movie, because in that movie, we learn that Celestials are born from the combined mind energy consciousnesses of millions of dead people that have been absorbed by Arisham's celestial seed placed within the core of the planet. In the same vein, it seems that the Kree have managed to master that science of collecting mind energy and have made their own artificial celestial being using technology, with the Supreme Intelligence even possessing 4 eyes, just like Tiamat does. However, Carol would of course end up completely annihilating all of those mind energies that comprise the Supreme Intelligence in a massive blast of energy, giving her the nickname the Annihilator amongst the Kree and creating a chaotic power vacuum. But while we're on the subject of the Kree power vacuum, now let's talk about the film's main villain, Zawe Ashton's Dar-Benn. When Dar-Benn was first announced as the main villain for the Marvels, people were understandably confused as the character of Dar-Benn in the comics has only appeared in 1991's Silver Surfer number 53 and 1992's Avengers 346. In the comics, Dar-Benn was a Kree war general who usurped the Kree throne along with his war general homie, Den, ending the reign of the stupid-ass Kree leader, Clumsy Foul-Up. After Dar-Benn and his Dar friend killed Clumsy Foul-Up, they became co-emperors of the entire Kree Empire before they themselves were killed by Deathbird of the Shi'ar Empire. Differing from her comic book counterpart greatly, Zawe Ashton's Dar-Benn chooses to rule extremely independently rather than having a shared rulership with another fellow warrior. This was of course purposely done to serve as an opposite to the teamwork that Carol, Kamala, and Monica learned to have over the course of the film that would of course help them defeat Dar-Benn's lonely ass self. All Dar-Benn needed was her fancy new bangle, the missing bangle that everyone was looking for in the Miss Marvel series that we finally learned to be the MCU's adaptation of the quantum bands, which, in the Marvel comics, has been historically the weapon crafted for the protector of the universe by the cosmic deity Eon, a character that was officially made into MCU canon through one of the statues inside of the Gates of Eternity from Thor: Love and Thunder, with the most popular of these chosen protectors throughout history to be known as the Marvel hero Quasar, a title that has historically belonged to multiple Marvel Comics characters including Wendell Vaughn, Phyla Vell, and Avril Kincaid. But in the MCU, they've been given to Kamala Khan first in order for her to produce hard-like constructs into any shape that she desires, something that the quantum bands has been also able to do for Quasar in the comics time and time again. But while Quasar sourced his energy from a cosmic source called the Quantum Zone, MCU Miss Marvel seemingly gets her powers by using the latent cosmic energy inside of her, cosmic energy that also appears to be the root of her mysterious mutant heritage. The quantum bands are not to be confused with the famous Naga bands that empowered the original Captain Marvel from the comics and caused that Captain Marvel to become entangled with his human friend Rick Jones, forcing them to trade places periodically, much like we see the Marvels do in the movie. However, in their case, while either Captain Marvel or Rick was occupying space in the normal universe, the other one of them was forced to be trapped inside of the negative zone, until the other one tapped them back into reality. A less than ideal situation indeed. But anyways, while the Naga bands and the quantum bands may seem like the same thing, the Naga bands were actually created by the Kree a long ass time ago, based off of the quantum bands. But anyways, finally, before we wrap up this video, we've got to talk about the other post-credit scene that features the return of the greatest Marvel actress of all time, Hailee Steinfeld, in all of her beautiful face to glory. If you don't know me already, I'm a huge Hailee Steinfeld simp, so you know, get used to that. Like, that was literally the highlight of the movie for me, to the point where the whole X-Men thing was just a lucky bonus. But anyways, as you can probably guess, Kamala recreating Marvel's first post-credits scene of Nick Fury's iconic meeting with Tony Stark at the end of Iron Man 1 was for sure a tease for Kamala founding a new type of Avengers team for young people that will almost certainly be the Young Avengers, which would be a first for Kamala, as Miss Marvel in the comics has historically not been on the Young Avengers team. In fact, comic book Kate Bishop was actually one of the original members of the group, alongside Elijah Bradley's Patriot, Billy Maximoff's Wiccan, Hetty Altman's Hulkling, Cassie Lang's Stature, and an Iron Lad that was secretly a young Kang variant that wanted to defy his fate as a bad guy. It was actually Iron Lad himself who first founded the Young Avengers in the comics, so whether or not Iron Lad will factor into the MCU Young Avengers during this Kang-centric multiverse narrative has yet to be seen. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. You can follow me at Mastertainment on Twitter if you guys want to see me post some really weird shit, but most importantly, you can follow Heavy Spoilers here on YouTube or wherever we are on the internet, so you guys can keep up to date with everything that we do. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. That really does go a long way. But yeah, thanks again for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.